Hello, everyone. So good to be here today out there in social media world, cyberspace. Excited to have you with us today for the opportunity to dive back into another mind-bending topic where we want to be able to challenge our patterns in our mind. That's really everybody. This is what it comes down to. You've been looking everywhere for the answer, for the magic pill, for the solution. You're it. You are the solution. It's just a matter of understanding the patterns that are preventing you from consistently struggling well and conquering the right things to create the wins that you can sustain. That's what we want to talk about. That's what we dive into here in the Habit Finder. Not just the latest, greatest flavor of the month, not just the cool strategies and tactics that too many people come to a session like this and learn and are not able to execute, let alone sustain that execution. We want to be able to drive deeper into the way our mind works. We want to be able to understand the things that we've learned in our lives up to this point. Anything else in your life that you had been doing as long as you've been alive, you would consider yourself a significant expert or professional in. Let's say you're 35 years old. If I introduced you to someone that has been doing something for 35 years, you would more than likely, before even getting to know them, consider they're probably pretty good at it. Well, let's give ourselves a little credit. However long you've been doing life, whether it's turned out the way you want it or not, whether the noise of unmet expectations and comparative reality and all this stuff has allowed you to actually enjoy, actually be able to create a life that is inevitable rather than just expected. Whether the noise is there or not, you are a professional at life. You have incredible expertise at life, and we want to be able to drive those patterns. We want to be able to disrupt the patterns that are both preventing us from enjoying what we already have and preventing us from being able to move to where we want to be, and making sure that those are collaborative, making sure that those allow us to find joy in the journey and deeper connection of what we're doing. That's what we do here on Tuesdays, okay? I am ready to roll. Are you ready to roll? Okay, I'm ready to roll with my Bill and Ted for 2020. Be excellent to each other. Saw Face the Music. Fantastic, by the way. It was like a big, giant, refreshing cup of nostalgia. Okay, but those of you who didn't come here for a movie critique, okay, don't go there expecting exceptional artistic cinema. It's not that type of movie, okay? But those of you who came here expecting an opportunity to think about life a little bit differently, to unlock a little bit more of your potential, you came to the right place. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Hope you are being excellent to each other and partying on, dudes. We are excited to be here today for today's power session. We are talking about our approach to our life, our approach to our relationships, our approach to our business, and what we're getting. Okay, there are a lot of people out there focused on what they can give, which is wonderful. I love that the people that we attract to Habit Finder, to the Augmentino Leadership Institute, to what we do, we attract people that are heart-driven, that want to serve, that want to give. And I'm a big believer in giving other than up. Just don't give up. Let's talk today, though, about what we're getting. What are we getting? Okay, not in terms of what we're getting materially, okay? What we're getting in terms of compensation. What are we getting in terms of the state that we're experiencing in our lives? What are we getting when it comes to some of our adversity? What are we getting when it comes to some of our obstacles? And I want to zero in on just two options today. There are probably multiple different variations, okay? But today I want us to talk about getting through or getting better. I find these to be two of the most significant options, two of the most significant choices. And keep in mind, choices aren't necessarily things that we consciously make a choice about. Sometimes we passively make the choice because we didn't sustain our awareness, or we didn't sustain our consciousness to a level that it could support the choice we made. So by default, no longer able to sustain it, we made a choice to go the other direction. Like imagine hanging on to a pole, okay, for as long as you can. You're choosing to hang on. You essentially chose to let go when you could no longer hang on for a number of reasons. Maybe you didn't choose to work on the strength of your grip enough before doing this. Maybe you didn't choose to push beyond a certain pain threshold before you started doing this. Okay, maybe you didn't choose a number of other things that didn't allow you to hold on a little bit longer. This is the depth of our accountability. When we start to see not just the immediate cause and effect of our life, but we start to see the patterns. And I want to look at the patterns of getting through your life versus getting better at your life. Getting through your business and the tasks and the work that are required, and getting better at it. Now, before we talk about this anymore, I want to give you an opportunity to evaluate where you might be, where you are, because there are a lot of different ideas out there around whether you're getting through or getting better. And I want to give you an opportunity to go through, I'm going to go through a list with you. Okay. The first thing I'll share is what we most likely are associating with if we are in a getting through mode. The second thing I'll share is what we will more than likely most closely associate with if we're in a getting better mode. Now, we are not here to be able to talk about which one is superior. Both are required to be able to succeed. Okay, as human beings, as imperfect mortals, okay? We want to be able to understand that there are very appropriate times to get through things where we've been tested beyond our limits, where we've been physically pushed to levels that we've never been to before, where we had just awoken to some internal sabotage that we had been compensating for or suppressing that we didn't realize was there. There are a lot of even peak euphoric experiences of good and wonderful exaltation type of things require a shift to get through when our capacity is diminished. Because definitely what we're looking to avoid is giving up. We don't want to give up. We want to get through and then pick our spots to be able to get better. Okay, I love playing blackjack, and I love it for this reason. I can get through enough hands, but if I can get a feel for the table, if I can get a feel for what's going on, I can get better in those very specific targeted moments. And just like blackjack, sometimes I try to get better in life, and I actually wasn't in a position where I had the capacity to do that. So maybe I got a little worse and needed to kick it back in to get through it. But what we want to start doing is getting clearer and clearer about when getting through and getting better is most appropriate. One of the primary challenges of just getting through life is that we get better and better at just compensating and feeling okay with not achieving our potential. But then we just get better and better at dealing with the repercussions of doing that. And there are major health repercussions. There are major financial repercussions of just getting through life when you feel a deep down burning desire that you were meant for more. No matter what you've tried to convince your thinker brain of, oh, this is good enough, or I don't need more money, or I don't need a bigger house or a nicer car, I don't need more influence, I don't need more recognition, all these different things that naturally feed how we're made up psychologically and neurologically lead to getting through for too long. And we lose the ability to find those spots to get better. So again, I don't want you to walk away from today's power session going, I am never going to try and get through anything. I am always going to be getting better. Well, that brings us back to an incredible lesson we learned from Og Mandino, who in The Greatest Salesman in the World said, only a worm is free from stumbling, which you could flip around and say, only a worm can always get better, okay? Because it's just a matter of continuing to squirm forward. But we're not here to squirm, we are here to thrive. And that brings with it the opportunity to drive ourselves, which requires both a gas, an accelerator, and a brake. We need to learn how to both be able to challenge ourselves and intentionally recover. So I hope that you walk away from today thinking about getting through things and getting better at things a little bit differently. And maybe there's some of you who have been getting through for just a little too long, and it's time to step up and get better. Maybe there's some of you who have been driving yourself too far to the edge, too thin for too long. You're on the verge of not only just getting through permanently, but even giving up. Just what's the use? What's the purpose to continue to go through these cycles of obligation and then fatigue and then rebellion and then quitting and then feeling guilty and then diving back in again? Some of us have gotten so good at this Ferris wheel that it's become just our natural state. It's become our new getting through, but we still have a mind that can see better. And it just becomes a slow, behind the scenes, torturous journey of never realizing our potential. So I want you to find a balance between these two. I want you to test them, challenge them, explore them, be curious about them on both sides. When it's time to put the brakes on getting better so that you can get through certain things, okay? Just like no one wins a car race by just pounding the gas and never letting up. But it doesn't necessarily mean you always need to brake. Sometimes it just means you need to let off the accelerator. Other times, there are definitely times you need to brake. Sometimes there's times where you need to make a slight adjustment. Other times you need to make extreme adjustments. What we want to do is challenge our logic, challenge our patterns, because how is your brain assessing when it should get through things, when it should get better? Or it's based on historic patterns, based on how you've approached things before. But you may have approached things before with different skill sets, different ability, different things going on in the peripheries of your life, spiritually, physically, whatever it might be. So we always want to be challenging these patterns. So I want to give you some words. And I want you to see which one. Let's just say, let's take August, the last 31 days. Welcome to September, right? Whoa, it's already September. But then you think about what happened in January and February before all the madness that's been going on. That feels like it was 10 years ago. So an interesting counterintuitive assessment there. But let me give you some words, and I want you to think about which one you honestly have associated more with, not which one you had the intentions for, but when you really look at where your state was, your state of being, your state of mind, and where your results were. Let's see how much of the last 31 days were oriented to getting through versus oriented to getting better. And based on your results, did you have the right balance? All right. So first word will be associated with getting through. The second word will be associated with getting better. And just pay attention to which one. Okay, go ahead and write on your piece of paper through and underline it, and write better and underline it, and just keep a tally. See which one is the more dominant, even if it's more dominant by 51% versus 49%. And give yourself an opportunity to consider each one. I really want you to take this in as an honest evaluation. Remember, because it's not bad if you spent most of August in a getting through state, but if you had expectations of getting better, it's going to be really tough to deal with. So if our potential is straining our expectations, if it's straining our current state of execution, then we might want to step back and look at things a little bit differently. Okay, so everybody should have through and better. Okay, through. And I want you to hear both words before you score it. Getting through, the word is isolated. Isolated or isolation. Getting better is connected. Connection. The last 31 days, which one did you experience more? And it may not be you actually experienced as much, you emotionally experienced it, you philosophically experienced it, energy-wise. Did you feel the pull more to isolate or the pull more to connect? And go ahead and put a tally under which one. The getting through for the next one, intensity. Intensity. The getting better, curiosity. Did you go through the last 31 days with a sense or a feeling of intensity? Or was it more dominantly curiosity? Intensity versus curiosity. I know there's a couple here that are going to trip you up. There's a couple of you here that have been convinced that intensity means you're getting better. And it doesn't mean that you can't get better with intensity, but if that's the evaluator, if that's the dominant piece, that's what we're diving into. We're disrupting some patterns here. Okay, so now you should have a tally for two things under either getting through or getting better. The next getting through word, relieved or relief. The getting better, encouraged or encourage. Relief or relieved, encourage or encouraged. Which one do you more associate with the last 31 days? Relief, meaning pain was there, pain has lessened or gone away briefly, temporarily. Encouraged means added courage, core, heart, blood. You've added courage, meaning it's like finishing a race and collapsing and just feeling so satisfied but relieved versus finishing a race and being like, that was amazing, where's the next one? Okay? More encouraged, ready to take on the next challenge. All right, next getting through word, motivated. Motivated. Really? Getting through? Yep. Motivated. The getting better word, inspired. I want you to think of the last 31 days and how much attention, how much energy went into finding something outside of you to drive you. Some result outside of you, some relationship outside of you, some quote, some video, some program, some idea outside of you to push you forward. Motivation is an indicator of getting through. Inspired. To inspire means to breathe life into. If you felt yourself in the last 31 days being pulled from within, being drawn out, then you can put the tally under getting better, inspired. Next one. The getting through word is destinations. Destinations, finish lines, completions. Do you find yourself last 31 days focusing on what you got done? Or the other word for getting better is journey or journeying. Did you find yourself more focused on what you got done? Or did you find yourself more focused on the direction that you were headed and the journey itself, the experiences, the presence of what you were going through, what you were learning, who you were with? So think of the last 31 days, and would you say it was more of a destination focus or more of a journey focus? Next one, the getting through word, big plans. Big plans. Wait, Paul, you're saying that having big plans is bad? No, I'm just saying that big plans are a very common outcome for someone with a getting through mentality. If I can just get through, I'm going to get that. Okay? So the getting through is big plans. The getting better is baby steps. You may go, if I can get through, then I can get that and immediately go, but to get that, I've got to come back to the journey, got to find my inspiration, my encouragement, my curiosity, my connection, and focus on the baby steps that will get me there. Oftentimes, those of us who are just trying to get through life are hoping that the next rest stop will be glorious versus finding the beauty in the journey and the baby steps of consistent progression. All right, the next getting through word, effort. Effort, another curveball, okay? Effort is the getting through, and effect is the getting better. Effort being your output, okay, your expended energy. that you're putting into. If your focus in the last 31 days has been your effort and how much you have expended, how much you have used up in your effort to get where you want to go, then put a tally under getting through. If you have been more focused on your affect, AFFECT, your affect, which is your state, your mood, your disposition, your state of mind specifically. If you've been more focused on your affect and how you affect others by extension, then you can put a tally under getting better. Next, busy. The getting through word is busy. If you've felt super busy or just very busy or just busy in general in the last 31 days, put a tally under getting through. On the other side, stillness. Stillness. If you've experienced more stillness than busy in the last 31 days, then you have tipped the scales from getting through to getting better. You can go ahead and mark down a tally for getting better. But if you got into a boxing match between the busyness of your life and the stillness of your life, and the busyness would pummel the living daylights out of the stillness, then put a tally under getting through. Next one, stubborn. Now, I originally wrote determined. Okay, but I wanted to be a little bit more specific because that could go either way depending on your context. But many of you claim to be determined when really you are stubborn. You are stubbornly attached to needing to be right, stubbornly attached to your reality, your ideas. And if we continue to just proclaim that as determined, then we're going to miss the other side, which the other word is collaborative. Collaborative. Stubborn, put a tally for getting through. Collaborative, put a tally for getting better. In the last 31 days, have you felt more stubbornly determined, that grit, that effort, that motivation? Or have you felt more collaborative, more connected, more curious in the baby steps of collaboration? Next one, surviving. The getting through word is survive. Think of the last 31 days, and if they have just been an expo of survival versus the getting better, which is surrender. Getting through, we're surviving. Getting better, we are surrendering. So think of the last 31 days. Have you spent more time just trying to survive, or more time surrendering, letting go of the things that are holding us back? Even the things, especially the things that came just before that we're stubbornly determined to hold on to have our cake and eat it too. Next one. The getting through word is control. Control. How focused in the last 31 days have you been on gaining control in your life? Gaining control of your relationships, gaining control of your weight, gaining control of your business. If your focus has been to gain control, to have and obtain control, you're likely getting through this period of your life. The getting better term is influence. If you have been looking for opportunities to create more influence, curiously encouraged and inspired to find that joy in the journey to influence yourself, influence those around you, versus control. Control is a typical reaction of the isolated, intense, seeking relief, motivated, destination-focused, big plan, effort, busy, stubborn survival of getting through. But to surrender, not to surrender our position in the progress of our lives, not to surrender our dreams, but to surrender the patterns, the affects, the state of mind that we have that is holding us back, the things that we just need to be right about that are holding us back. That's the surrender of getting better. Okay? And to be able to influence, the control and influence. I switch back to survive and surrender. Control and influence, that when we surrender, that's when we can find the greatest influence. Because any of us that want to have greater influence, those who need something the least have the least amount of desperation and the greatest level of influence. Influence is one of the greatest indicators of abundance and authenticity. Okay, last one. Explain or explanation. The getting through word is explanation. If you have been focused more in the last 31 days on trying to explain things, trying to explain why you're this way, or why you keep doing that thing, or why they keep doing whatever. If you have been more focused on explanation versus the getting better word, which is execution, to execute, then you're likely in a state of getting through this period of your life versus getting better. I believe that's 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are certainly more. But imagine using just these 12 comparisons, these 24 terms, to be able to check in with yourself, to be able to find out, am I in a state of getting through this period of my life, or am I in a state of getting better? Because there are a few things, I should say, as frustrating as feeling like you should be getting better and waking up every morning in the same place. But sometimes it's better to hunker down and let the storm pass than to fight through it and drown or die out in the elements. Sometimes. But we're not challenging survival in some harsh wilderness with saber-toothed tigers and all these animals and things that want to kill us, as much as things that want to kill our dreams, things that want to kill our potential and who we should become. And there are times, as Og Mandino talked about in the scrolls, like love. There are times we'll use love as a shield, which is when we're getting through things. And then there are times we'll cast it aside and arrows of hate will land like the softest of rains. And that's an indicator we're getting better. So let me review these again for you. Isolated versus connected. Isolation versus connection. Intensity versus curiosity. Relief versus encouragement. Motivation versus inspiration. Destinations versus journeys. Big plans versus baby steps. Effort versus effect. Mindset. Busy versus stillness. Stubborn or determined versus collaborative. Survival versus surrender. Control versus influence. Explanation versus execution. This is not a list of good and bad. This is a list of indicating whether your focus, your mind, is in a getting through state, which means, okay, I'm going to hunker down in this tent as this sandstorm passes, and I'm not going to climb out of the tent and think that I'm going to be 3 miles further along in the journey. I'm going to climb out of this tent and be in the same place, and that's okay. Because that was a lot better than running home. That was a lot better than hiding and getting disoriented and whatever else we do in survival mode. So this is not good or bad. This is about being aware of where we actually are, what our mind is actually allowing us to do. Okay, in professional athletics, they use heart rate variability to understand whether it is a day, whether your heart, the core of your operating system, for your body, your muscles, your mind, everything, okay? Whether it's ready to be pushed, okay? Because the brain trying to assess the heart as to whether it's ready to be pushed is not usually very accurate. Because we can feel tired, and then all of a sudden says, hey, you want to go swimming? And we're like, oh yeah, suddenly I have all this energy. Like, oh, I'm so exhausted. I can't work on my billing and my QuickBooks today. Hey, you want to go to Disneyland? Oh my gosh, suddenly a surge of energy. Suddenly our heart, our body's totally available to be able to take us where we want to go. So be careful with the mind assessing this. That's why I wanted to give you kind of this paradigm, this diagram to be able to go through, to be able to get past what the mind thinks, be able to get to what actually is. What actually is might be disappointing at first. What actually is might be discouraging even at first. But it's what is. It's where you have got to start. So if you're confused, you're overwhelmed, you're frustrated, you keep feeling like you should be getting better, but you're stuck in getting through mode, it's time to go deeper. It's time to alter some patterns. It's time to get into the counterintuitives, the contradictions and the hypocrisies of being human and thrive in that space. So hopefully from today, you'll start to be more curious, more inspired, more encouraged, to want to influence your life, to be able to just find out where you are. And if you're in a getting through state, that's okay. It's okay. It's really okay. Because that's what you need right now to be okay. But there comes this crossover when just being okay isn't okay. And that's what I hope today will help you see that line. Okay? It's not a thin line. Okay? It's a calibration. Giving yourself an opportunity to go, yep, I have been in a getting through state. And I'm okay. I'm going to get a little bit better at getting through. And then it's time to get better. One last word of advice. Don't wait to feel like it to get better. Because those who wait to feel like being successful never will be. Those who wait to feel like being kind, to feel like being patient, will always struggle with it. Find the choices, find the intentionality, find the awareness, and at the end of the day, find you. Because if you are demanding better, but you are in a getting through mode, start by just being okay with you're in a getting through mode so that you can start to build to getting better. Because too often we're swinging violently from these two branches. Allow them to collaborate. Allow our awareness to be able to be a little bit more curious, a little bit more connected, a little bit more still. All of these things are sometimes things you need, sometimes things that you're going to want because of what it will get you to. And you can't get to something when you're just trying to get through something. Again, that's like hiding in the tent during the sandstorm, climbing out and thinking you're going to be further down the road. It's okay. You needed to. It's a sandstorm. But a lot of us are continuing to manufacture sandstorms in our lives, mental ones, emotional ones, psychosomatic ones. It's time to step back and challenge some of those. Because if you have felt that itch, that irritation to the soul, that you were meant for more and to be better, and that's creating frustration, and it's only solidifying and enhancing your getting through modes, it's time to back off for a second, assess, and look for a better way. We'd be happy to provide that to you if you haven't taken the Habit Finder already, met with us, visited with us, talked about what's different when you go in with math and science with how the brain works. Not just guru-driven stuff that you'd love to post and get a lot of likes or stitch on a pillow, but what actually alters the patterns of the brain for your success. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for listening. It's always an honor. As always, please share, tag anyone that you think deserves this kind of an evaluation, this kind of opportunity to both celebrate the fact that they can get through a lot and, not but, and they deserve also start getting better. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.